What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and we have a whole bunch of D&D news. For example, did you know that the release schedule of D&D books planned for 2024, no printer is able to handle them? Or at least that's what this Polygon article says. We also have a community update in the form of localization for SRD 5.1, and a surprising amount of stuff happening at Gencon that I was unaware of, so I'm going to make you aware of it. All right. Before I dive into any of this news kind of stuff, if you like what I do here and you like the channel, please consider subscribing. It's a simple click for you guys, and it does a lot for me. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So here's the Polygon article. So many new D&D books are coming in 2024. No printing company can handle them all. So if we close this, we can go on and see. Earlier this month, D&D revealed this roadmap for 2024. It plans to celebrate the 50th anniversary with a revision of the 3 core rulebooks. This is nothing new. We know this. The trouble is, the publishing giant can't seem to find a printing partner to make them all in a timely fashion. We haven't publicly talked about the release schedule yet, said Jeremy Crawford. We're having conversations about what that will be, leaning toward a staggered release, because there are a number of challenges in releasing all 3 of them at the same time, and they don't all have to do with just staffing or time. So I'd heard this at the Content Creator Summit. We'd asked, and they did tell us they were planning to stagger the release, as in like probably Player's Handbook first, Monster Manual second, Dungeon Master's Guide third, something like that. And then my guess is, and you can quote me on this, that those will come out throughout the year, and then for the holiday season, like around December of 2024, they'll release them in a box set where you can get all 3. That's probably just what they'll do. That's a business move, right? I guess it would be a large chunk to just drop all 3 at the same time. I'd be more of a fan of that myself, but also as a content creator, them staggering the release makes my life a little bit easier, and that I can cover things in release sequence, so that I don't just have like a massive backlog of things to cover, which kind of already have at the moment. All right. The 5th edition Player's Handbook in particular is a hot commodity. It is ranked among the top 100 best-selling books of any kind on Amazon since 2016, 2 years after it was first released. Given the even larger footprint that D&D has in pop culture, it's destined to sell quickly against the glossy new revised 2024 edition. The sales velocity apparently is giving Wizards' traditional printing partners pause. Our print runs are pretty darn big, Crawford says, and printers are telling us you can't give us 3 books at the same time. The print ones we're talking about are massive, said Chris Perkins. That's not only true about the core books, but also about Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It's what we call a high-end problem. Crawford said that his team isn't all that worried about the staggered rollout of the revised core rulebooks. The originals were released the same way. That was a wild time to be alive, by the way. If you weren't around in 2014, try playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition when you only have a player's handbook and like you have an adventure module, but it doesn't have all of the monsters in it or any of the magic items. And if you didn't know about the free PDFs that had that, you just like might not have stat blocks, which was kind of wild. And then the Monster Manual came out, and then you still have to wait a whole nother month after that to get the Dungeon Master's Guide, which I think is funny because you could be running games in 5th edition for like 3 months and not have the guide that tells you how to run it. Either way. But also the existing 2014 editions will still on player shelves will continue to be compatible. We want them to be close enough on the release calendar, but we also recognize this is not a new edition, so people can continue playing with the books they have. Which I guess is also a reasonable way to kind of explain it, right? You can continue to use what you have, so if you don't get the 2024 books immediately, you can just operate with what you have already. Wizards is also making a big push into the digital space. Parent company Hasbro acquired D&D Beyond just 1 year ago, and several of its biggest releases of 2022 have included digital pre-release copies for those who pre-order. Will the same be true for these revised 5th edition books? It's too soon for us to talk about that, Perkins said. I don't think anybody has that answer. Chris and I have the delight of our job being almost entirely focused on content generation, Crawford said. You can read more about what happened earlier. So, interesting that, see, I thought the staggered release was to try and not put out, I mean, in a cynical aspect, was just to not have to release a ton of content next year, right? We have, we have a lot of books crammed in the last 2 quarters of this year. And then next year, you wouldn't even have to do that much. You could just kind of be like, we're going to take it easy this year and we'll float the player's handbook and the monster manual and the DMG. Everybody knows they're coming. There's hype built around them, whether positive or negative hype, right? People want to buy it or look at it so they can shit on it, or people want to get it because they're excited about it or to run games in it. That could probably carry most of your 2024. So I thought that was the original reason for the staggered release. So that's like where we normally would have to release 3 new books, we could release just these 3 updated books instead of 3 whole new products. But now apparently it's because the printers just can't handle the volume that they're asking for. Again, for those of us that were around in 2014, if you think about how popular D&D was then versus how popular D&D is now, how many people will want to get these core rulebooks? I'm sure there's people out there that maybe they didn't pick up the books, they wanted to get into Dungeons and Dragons, and this is kind of a weird thing where like they heard these updated rulebooks are coming out, so they're like, I'll just wait. It's like I haven't bought the core rule books for Pathfinder, but I know the updated versions are coming out, so I'm just going to wait to get those. Part of the reason I didn't buy the ones for Pathfinder is because I couldn't find them because they were sold out everywhere. But I'm just going to wait till the new release comes out. So let's talk about a quick D&D community update. For those of you who are unaware, D&D Beyond, it does have a community update section. They've talked about a lot of interesting stuff. They talked about the OGL here. They talked about the issues from the Content Creator Summit. They talked about the difference and like what one D&D wasn't like canceled, that it was just what it was. So this new one is SRD 5.1 localization. It says brilliant creators and players are building D&D adventures around the world. To celebrate that support, we're excited to announce that we're publishing translated versions of the SRD 5.1 into French, Italian, German, and Spanish to be released into Creative Commons. Again, I don't have enough time to sit here and recap everything that happened earlier this year, but, the content, or the D&D Players 1 in that SRD 5.1 was released publicly into Creative Commons so that D&D cannot make it disappear with any kind of weird open game license shenanigans. Now, they have also released French, Italian, German, and Spanish versions of this as well. They are now in Creative Commons, which means D&D can no longer change or adjust those, but they've been localized to allow folks across the world to continue to use them to create and iterate on. Publication of these translations means that even more players will have access to the tools they need. We believe that D&D should be for everybody, so we're taking steps to make that ever more the case as promised, and this won't be the last step, said Kyle Brink. And just talked about what is the SRD and what is Creative Commons. So that was just a quick hit one. And the last one is an email that I got from like a PR team about like what D&D is doing at Gencon. I didn't realize, I knew they were going to be there. That was one of the things that we talked about earlier in this year. It's something that I've brought up in the past. It's like, hey, you want to try to win back your fans and your community, you should go where your fans and community are and meet with them. And part of that was like their convention presence essentially dried up, aside from anything except for Acquisitions Incorporated at the Penny Arcade shows. And that's kind of more of a niche thing than just generally being present. Now, that's not to say that D&D wasn't available for play at places like Gen Con and other conventions, but it wasn't D&D themselves being present to have, to be there and advocate for it. So they actually have a lot of stuff going on at Gen Con. So I'm going to read through this email here. First of all, there is a giant-sized adventure, D&D Live, Saturday, the 5th of August. That's from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on the Saturday. Dungeon Master Brennan Lee Mulligan will spin a grand tale along players Erica Ishii, Gabe Hicks, Dale Kingsman, Luis Carano, and Jeremy Crawford as they take an adventure of humongous proportions. Watch out for giant feet stomping down, previewing the content for the forthcoming D&D book, Bigby's Glory of the Giants. So this will be at the Indiana Roof Ballroom. It'll also be streaming live on Twitch, so you can go to twitch.tv/D&D if you're a fan of any of the creators there, or you just want to see preview content from Bigby's Glory of the Giants. This is the place to do so. It will be from 7 p.m. That'll be Eastern Time on Saturday, August 5th, 7 to 10. It'll be on Twitch. You'll likely be able to see it after the fact as well. So that's pretty cool. Beetle and Grimm's Faster Purple Worm Kill Kill live show. That's going to be Thursday, the first day of Gen Con at noon Eastern Time. That'll be over in the Westin if you happen to be present. It says 4 intrepid first-level characters go up against an epic D&D monster, an unpredictable journey to meet their heroic demise. The show's host and live musician add to the fun for this soon-to-be TV show. Reminder, this is one of the things that they announced as like their 24-hour streaming channel. This is going to be one of them. Come and witness the first ever Gen Con and Wizards of the Coast live show of Faster Purple Worm Kill Kill. There'll also be Q&A with the cast after the fact. So that's pretty cool. If you hadn't seen D&D Honor Among Thieves, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. at the Regal Cinema in Circle Center, Indianapolis, they are screening Honor Among Thieves with free popcorns and drinks, special guests, and more, which is pretty exciting. Again, a lot of us have already seen the D&D movie. It was unfortunate of how it did in the box office, considering every review I saw of it, myself included, were very positive about the movie, but it just didn't do well timing-wise. But anyway, you can go see it for the first time or see it again if you want to see it up on the big screen, if you've only seen it, streaming or what have you. Free popcorn and drinks, though. Can't argue with that. And I don't know what they mean by special guests. I don't know if that's going to be like Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins there or who, but that's a thing. Let's see. D&D Store by Baldwin Games. Baldwin Games is a great company. They run most of the organized play stuff for Wizards of the Coast. It says, our organized partner has a D&D store with tons of great products and 2 special offers. Early sales of Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants will be allocated daily. Get the physical book here first. So if you want to get a physical copy of Bigby's Glory of the Giants before it releases on the 15th of August, there will be a limited edition or a limited number of them available at booth 2801 in the exhibit hall at the convention center. In addition, if you show proof during the show date that you pre-ordered a future book, you'll get a free set of bonus dice. So that's pretty cool as well. And then there are various panels. And the panels were actually... So I thought the movie was cool. The live shows are cool. I actually didn't read the part about the early access to the book. That's pretty exciting. I'm going to try and see if I can't score one myself. Even though I'll likely, I assume, get them in the mail from Wizards of the Coast, I hope, but we'll see. But what I wanted to talk to you about is the panels. So a lot of these panels are going to provide us insight into books that we know nothing about or future stuff in general. So I've already reached out through Wizards PR to say, am I allowed to record these panels in their entirety? Because I would like to do that. I would like to bring my camera equipment into the panel, maybe just stand off to the side in the back and record the entire thing and then upload it all to YouTube so you all can see it. Alternatively, if that's not an option or if I'm able to do that in conjunction, I will also be live tweeting this. So I know that's a hard thing to say because people are not sure what they're thinking about what's going on with Twitter, and that's fair enough. But if you're on that platform, I will be live tweeting out at it, and maybe I'll do a recap after the fact. So Friday, what is that? Friday is the 4th, I believe. Friday the 4th at 11 a.m. in room 145 of the Convention Center. It is a D&D rules revision update. Join the D&D team as they give an update on the 2024 rules revision playtest, answer some commonly asked questions, and discuss what's around the corner. This is with Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins. Amy Dallin of D&D Beyond will be the moderator. Player's handbook rules discussion and a mailbag style Q&A. So I'm going to be there. I can't say that I'll be guaranteed to get a question, but if I'm able to, feel free to sound off with questions you'd like to have asked in the comments, and I'll see if I can't maybe sneak one in there. Now, just a couple hours after that, at 2 p.m. on Friday, is the Deck of Many Things D&D product preview. Get a sneak peek at the upcoming title to be released in 2023. We're going to have Jason Tondro, James Wyatt, Mackenzie DeArmas, and Latia is going to be moderating. Heavy on visuals and a poster giveaway. So this is going to be our first knowledge, anything related to I think they're calling it the Deck of Many Things. I thought it was called the Book of Many Things. Either way, this release, we know nothing about at this point, really. we're going to get our first preview. So I'm hoping, again, I can record it in full. If not, I will live tweet about it and then comment after the fact in some sort of vlog style video. There is also a D&D with kids video. I'm probably going to skip that one just because I usually never do any panels at Gen Con unless friends are there or I'm recording them for somebody. But there's a D&D with kids panel at 4 p.m. D&D's for everyone, and more families are playing with their kids. Learn from experts in kid-focused D&D play on how to make your experiences with kids exciting and memorable. That'll be Friday at 4 p.m. Then jumping to Saturday at 2 p.m., we have Planescape Adventures in the Multiverse D&D product preview. Get a sneak peek at the upcoming title to be released in 2023. Again, we have basically Justice will be there, Jeremy Latia will be moderating again. Then we have Wes Schneider as well. Heavy on visuals and a poster giveaway. So again, I will be attending the rules revision at 11 a.m. on Friday, the Deck of Many Things preview Friday at 2 p.m., and the Planescape preview Saturday at 2 p.m. So I will be there, at those panels. So if you want to come see me and say hi and get some swag or whatever, I'll be present. So feel free to swing by. But also I will be, again, doing my best to provide you as much information as I possibly can on it as soon as possible, as well as hopefully, ideally, full video transcription of everything if they'll allow me to do it. There's also there's a D&D dungeon mastering tips and tricks Saturday at 4. I guess Chris Perkins had a panel at San Diego Comic-Con, and it did really well. It also includes discussion of the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide, which is, again, not a thing I was planning to go to, but now I might have to learn about the Dungeon Master's Guide. And then there's also some Magic the Gathering panels there as well. A couple AMAs, and talks about the 30th anniversary of Magic the Gathering. There's going to be Wizards of the Cone food truck. Enjoy cool icy treats on hot Indianapolis days at their first ever food truck. This will be available Thursday to Saturday in the morning, basically all day. You'll find ice cream recipes inspired by D&D and Magic the Gathering. Proceeds benefiting the Trevor Project. They are sponsoring or at least part of the costume contest, which is pretty cool. And then they'll have live play in the JW Marriott, again, via Baldwin Games, if you'd like to do some Adventures League stuff. So that's a lot. And I got to say, we said go out and meet the people, right? Do the thing. It seems like they're doing the thing. So I'm pretty stoked about a lot of that stuff. I'll be present. I'll be trying to get you as much information as possible. If there's anything specific with any of the things I've mentioned in this entire video that you'd like to hear more about, please let me know. I'm also planning to do some form of a live stream. Well, I'll be doing a live stream at the convention itself, walking around the convention show floor and things like that, like I typically do. But I want to do an evening live stream one of these nights leading up to it. Whether that's just a Q&A where we just talk, or where I tie in some other stuff, read some books, play some video games, I don't know. So be on the lookout for a live stream. But if you have any questions you'd like me to try to ask in any of these panels, if I'm able, let me know. Otherwise, just be on the lookout for more information on any of this stuff as soon as I can provide it. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.